today I'm going to replace the air oil separator, or just the oil separator, on my Porsche 986. This is apparently a pretty common problem, and I have all the classic symptoms of it. So if you're trying to determine whether this is your problem, let me kind of run through the symptoms that I'm having, which are pretty typical here. The most obvious symptom you'll notice is that it'll start to have a lot of white smoke, especially when you first start up the car. It's because this is not fully separating the oil out. Some of that oil is getting into the intake and burning and producing white smoke. So if you see white smoke, probably this guy. A couple other symptoms. It will produce a lot of low pressure in the crankcase. So if you go in here and take the oil filler cap off, it can produce a lot of low pressure and really just be sucking air in. In fact, it can suck so much that you can't even remove the lid. So if you go and try and take the lid off, I was able to take mine off, but it was definitely like there was a lot of vacuum pressure in there. And again, that means that this thing is probably not working quite properly. And then the final symptom that you can have is a check engine light with codes P1128 and 1130. Those can be caused by a lot of different things. So those alone don't mean that it's the oil separator. But those combined with some of these other symptoms, pretty safe bet. So in order to do that, you of course got to get out the top of your engine. If you're brand new to your car, you can check out a video to show how you do that. Pretty simple, don't really need any tools. Once you get at the top of your car, you'll see the top of the oil separator. Looks like this. You'll see it right here on the right side, passenger side of the car. And you can kind of see how, from the new part, you can see how it goes in there. There are two bolts right here, and they're going to be way down in there. They're going to be a pain in the ass to get at. But once we pull those off, pull off all the hoses, should just pull right out. Put the new one in. You also need a new clamp when you get the oil separator. So make sure you get this guy too. So to get the old one out, you need a 10mm socket. I find it's easiest to reach in, at least for me, with my left hand, kind of right in here and down, and I can kind of feel where it's at. It is a somewhat confined space, so that makes it a little bit more challenging. And you are kind of fumbling around blind in the nether regions of your car. But that's something I have a lot of experience with, so not a big deal. There we go. Huzzah! 2 bolts! Should now just be a matter of unclamping all these damn hoses. So, it's definitely loose now that I've taken those bolts off. I'm gonna start unclamping hoses. The most obvious one that I'm gonna start with is this one right here. Should just be able to pinch it on the top and the bottom, and that should be able to release it. So there we go, I got that loose, and I can see it definitely looks oily right there. So again, oil shouldn't be going into this tube, which leads to the throttle body. So if that looks oily, it's a good confirmation that this is bad. Looking down at the top, I can actually see a another hose leading to it on this side, way down there. Same type of connector as this. You're not gonna be able to see it, I don't think. But yeah, it's that corrugated looking hose. It leads right into the side of it. So I'm gonna disconnect that next. So it's impossible to see down here, but I've managed to squeeze the top and the bottom of the hose that connects onto this. Just squeeze the top and the bottom and worked it loose. So now I'm gonna try and disconnect the clamp that goes on here. Again, that's the clamp that you've got to buy a replacement of. I should just be able to feel underneath where this hose was down there. Maybe I can fit some pliers in, squeeze this clamp open, just grab it like this, squeeze it, that'll open the clamp and I'll be able to pull it out. That's the plan anyway. So installing the new one should be a straightforward process, I think. I mean, as straightforward as it can be, what with reaching in all over there. Just gotta be able to get in there, and it should be doable. There is the space. This is the right side of the intake manifold, and then right there is where the old one was removed. You can see kind of the hose positions. There's that's where the hose clamp goes, and then it just presses into a hole over here. That's it. So there are a total of 4 connections. One here, one here, one here, and one right here that you have to disconnect. You'll just kind of squeeze and pull to disconnect them, and then just kind of maneuver it around all of these things to get it out. Same thing to get it back in. Okay, so old one's out, new one's going in. Here's the plan. You won't be able to see it. So here's my new clamp. It's got this little plastic clip on it that's essentially holding it open. So I'm going to slip this guy right on here. I'm going to stick it on there. I'm going to make sure that this is on good. When it is on, I'm going to yank this clip off, and that should clamp it firmly to the car. So that's the plan. Success! Got the old one off and the new one on. My plan didn't quite work the way I thought it would. So I thought I'd take a moment to actually say what worked. The thing goes on like this. I got this part started in the engine, and then I fought with forever to get this properly on the tube that it goes onto, and God, it just didn't work. So then I tried a different approach. I snapped this tube on, snapped this tube on, and then actually put these bolts on and tightened them down. And as I did that, this fully inserted the way it's supposed to, and this lined up right, and I was able to, it pretty much just went on by itself, and I could kind of feel down and make sure that it was like all the way down on the tube that it slides onto. And so then at the very last thing, I checked this and then ripped this tab off to release this clamp. All right, gonna put it back together, see if it works. So that completely solved the problem. No more white smoke, no more check engine codes, and when I take the oil filler cap off in the trunk, there's a little bit of suction, but much less. Like I say, a little bit is normal and healthy. One final note, when I first started it up, it still smoked like hell. But once I drove it around, burnt off all the old oil that was still sitting in the intake, it was fine. And I haven't had a problem since. Been driving it for 3 weeks now. No more white smoke. Everything looks solid.